It's Noel from the Enduro Bureau, and hey, it's episode 10 of the Enduro Bureau podcast. It's just me today. Jared Stock, Courtney Schmalley, my partners in crime, were unfortunately unavailable, which is too bad for them because we got a pretty decent guest today, I'd say. Pretty okay-ish. This guy, I met him last year in Idaho Falls, Idaho, where he was wrenching for his brother at an Endurocross event. And yeah, all around a good guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit better, not too well. Probably know the brother better. Yeah, it's Gus Riordan from FMF KTM Factory Racing Landers, a GNCC specialist. Gus, welcome, man.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was definitely been looking forward to having you on. We've been trying to get it organized. You're a busy dude, man.
Yeah, when we first went to organise it, I was up in Morgantown for the week, and it was actually a lot busier than I thought.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that was pretty nuts, especially, you were up there. Sorry, and that was Morgantown. That was for Powerline GNCC?
No, so I had a sprint up there, high voltage.
Oh, that's right.
Then on the Monday, me and Lyndon went and watched Will race the Hard Enduro. And then we went back to Morgantown for the week, and we had Mason Dixon, which was just last weekend.
Yeah, crazy. Busy season so far. Let's just get started. Start with the season. How's it been going? It looks, you're sitting in second overall in XC2 and GNCC.
Yeah, so sitting second, I did have the points load at the start of the year, but a few shit rounds sort of put me back, and then lost some more valuable points on the weekend, but what can you do? And then still got 5 more rounds, so anything can happen. Then in the sprint, sort of leading that, got about a 30-point gap, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking good in both, and you're right. I think it was just like 1 or 2 rounds where you're just like a little off the pace in GNCC, impacted you obviously. And your teammate has really turned it up.
Yeah, he has. Now to start running him down.
Yeah, sticking the spokes kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that just found square.
Yeah, all good. Well, hey, I figure why don't you tell me a little bit about who Gus Riordan is? What's the nutshell? In a nutshell, who are you and as a person?
Yeah, so originally from Australia, moved over here in 2018 to California from my parents' company, and then we were sort of there until this end of 21. I sort of finished school, and from there it was either move home or stay here and racing, and an opportunity popped up over here at the GNCC, so we thought it'd be silly not to, and sort of made the move over here and sort of been doing GNCC since this is my 3rd year doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, between you and Will, I was saying to Will when he was on the show, you guys are like the off-road version of the Lawrences a little bit, a couple brothers,
two Aussie brothers.
2 Aussie brothers come to the US and make good. So I guess the question is, how old were you when you moved over?
I think I was 14 and Will maybe 15.
Yeah.
14 and 15. Yeah.
So, at that point, you were already racing, I presume, in Australia.
Yeah, we were just racing in Australia. We weren't nothing serious. We were still juniors in Australia and just doing it for fun. We were doing the Australian Off-Road Championships. We just started doing that, and then so we had to leap halfway through that, and then sort of came over here.
Did you have it in your mind that becoming a pro rider was, something you were going to work towards, or that you were even really thinking about back then?
To be honest, it was always sort of something I just thought about. When we moved here, we were sort of still super young, and we were just riding around and doing it for fun, and then it started getting a bit more serious. We started getting some results, and Dad was like, you need to pick one direction or another, and that's when Will chose extreme, I reckon, because I started beating him. And then I chose at the time, the GP stuff.
Yeah. I mean, how did that NGPC racing in California and over on the West Coast is something else. It's intense. Is that similar to what the Australian Off-Road Championship is like, that style of riding, or?
In a sense, yes and no. The GP stuff is basically a big moto track, and then it is some rounds out in the desert, which is kind of similar to some rounds in Australia, and then some rounds in Australia, it's like a bit more GNCC type.
Yeah.
I feel Australia have a lot more of everything, in one series, where over here it's either woods or desert. There's sort of no in between.
Yeah, there's no kind of middle America where you're rolling too often out of the trees into the prairie, foothills.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so tell me about that ride, how that was going in GPC, and your dad's telling you like you got to make a decision if you're going to do this. Was there a lot of thought? Like, how did you come up with GNCC?
Midway through 2021, I came over, that night, did a cross country trip, and we did the Hoosier, and then later that year I did snowshoe, and I enjoyed them, and I didn't do too bad at the Hoosier, and then sort of from there, sort of got an idea stuck in my head, and then Lyndon was over here as well, and yeah, so I know it's sort of just all worked out.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at results the other day, and back in 22, you've got those, or 21, sorry. You had those 2 rounds, Hoosier and snowshoe, and you were 7th and 9th, I think.
Yeah, with that 7th, I think I was in 4th with half a lap to go, and my bike basically shit the bed. So I had to limp it back. But other than that, so I got a taste for it then.
Yeah, and I mean, that course, that's an interesting course there in Hoosier. That was my first GNCC that I went to this year was Hoosier. Interesting combination of woods and, rolling around this iconic moto track. And there's some big mud holes. I don't know if it was a wet year when you started there or.
No, when I went and did in 21, the conditions are perfect. I still think it hasn't been beaten for the last 6 times I've been there with Hoosier and then Ironman. But yes, it must have went there on a good round and got the hook for it.
And then, and at the same time, you're doing, when did you start racing the sprints? Like pretty much the same time as GNCCs or?
KTM, you do your 2 rounds. So I was GNCC and sprints. So I've been doing the same 2 series the last 3 years.
Do you have, with that sprint stuff, I mean, you're obviously doing really, really well in it. Do you have a thought of trying to put in for, did you put in for the Australian ISDE team?
Yes, I have. And I think it's looking positive. But yeah, we'll see. So hopefully I'll go. But I'm also doing the Enduro GP of Wales this year in August. So go get a bit of a taste for it then as well.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm going to ISDE with the Canadian team, so that'd be pretty fun if you were there. Another person to know.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I mean, I guess last year was an interesting one for Australia with the distance Argentina. They only ran the women's world trophy team. That was it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bummer because I felt like if they just had to put a good junior team or a good senior team, and along with the women team, I reckon we could have had a shot at winning because it was basically like our back doorstep at home.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, this year is going to be really interesting in Spain, up in that region of Spain, which is kind of right by Portugal. You're kind of in the heart of the Enduro GP world. And you got to think that, European rounds, it's going to be highly competitive. Everyone's going to be there, unlike, for example, Argentina. And it's going to be deep.
Yeah, the field's probably going to be real stacked. Everyone will want to be having a red hot crack.
Yeah. So Enduro GP Wales, is that going to be your first Enduro GP, or have you dabbled in it before?
No, I'm the first ever one. I got to know Jack Edmondson. He came over here a few times and did a few sprints. And then sort of through him, I was speaking to his dad, and he has the Fast Eddie team over there. Yeah. And so I'm sort of getting hooked up through him, and so great opportunity.
Have you chatted much with Rachel Goodish about her experiences so far?
No, I haven't.
No.
I need to.
That Fast Eddie team is actually doing really well this year as well.
Yeah. So I think a few of their riders are out. So they just got the one, Jamie, and then I think I'll be under the tent, and then his son Jack will obviously be there. And I think maybe Topi's heading across. So there'll be a few of us.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be excellent. Yeah, I've been trying to find a way to get to that round myself. So who knows? It's tough though. You got to balance priorities and travel budgets, which are almost zero. So
yeah.
I just got to get there with like a sleeping bag and a bivy bag, and I don't even need a hotel. Like just some batteries for the cameras, and off we go.
Just Just put your thumb out on the highway and tell them to pick you
exactly. Yeah. Just, flight in, train over to Cardiff or something and then figure it out, like how hard can it be? I don't know. It stresses me out thinking about that, but yeah. So, I mean, you came over and what were your thoughts when you first started riding in the US? Was it a big difference? Again, I guess, you're going from an Australian off-road to a GP style of racing, but for quality of riders, did you notice a big difference or was it just more that the fields were deeper or?
Yeah, so when we first came here back in 2018, it wasn't for riding. Part of Dad's deal to get us across, he said, well, I'll get you a few bikes and you can keep on riding and whatnot. Then, obviously, back then, it was like Glen Helen and then Hangtown. We were only 40 minutes from Hangtown. It was like the big national tracks.
Yeah,
so it was super sick to go there. And we first ever time racing at Glen Helen, I think I was just staring at the Glen Helen sign because that's all you see on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely way more people, and obviously that's what makes a lot more riders and everything.
Yep.
And a lot more faster ones, a lot more slower ones. Yeah, so everything's just sort of bigger here.
And what were your results like that coming out of that, where you were sort of at a position where you were obviously we're starting to think like, oh, this could work?
I did the Works series in 2020, and I got second or third in the 250 class back then, and then the following year, Will and I got put on the RPM KTM team in 21.
Yeah.
And I think Will had a good outing at TKO that year. And so I must have got Auntie's attention, and I think through Destry Abbott as well, he put in a good word for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And was it kind of a shock when they came knocking, or were you sort of had a feeling it was going to happen, or?
That was a bit surreal. It was a cool feeling, obviously, and then we're both going on the same team at the same time, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember what it was Will said. It was different. And what was it? I'm going to have to edit this.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like, so that happens and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm a pro rider. Like, holy crap, I'm on a factory support team. And, it's a pretty great gig. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say is Will said he's never actually had to put together a race resume. Have you?
No. No, I haven't. Think about it.
You guys are kind of the outliers there, I think.
Yeah, must have got lucky or something. Must have been on someone's good side.
Yeah, or just really good at what you're doing. So, so it came up. Do you think that you guys having each other's as brothers, were you ultra competitive or?
Yeah, always competitive growing up. When we were back in Australia, we would travel 6 hours to a race, and me and Will would always find ourselves together. We may be battling first and second, or last and second last. We were always battling together, and it used to drive Dad crazy. I remember one year at the Junior Aussie titles, so like the Loretta Lynn's of Australia, I had to qualify, and me and Will were battling. I think it was on the 85, and he's punted me over the berm. He's T-boned me. And he shot me flying over the berm, massive dent in my pipe, and top 40 got in, and I was like 40th. So I just made it in that one.
Just made it into your dad. Did your dad ream him out?
No, made it in. He probably
it didn't matter. Didn't make Will pay for the pipe?
No.
Do you think one of you was more driven towards like the professional ride, or, but it almost sounds like it just happened so organically that, that almost doesn't play into it.
Yeah, Will was always the main one. And I was sort of just following along behind, just sort of cruising along. We'd get back from school and we would want to go riding. Or I'll come riding. He was sort of the main one, you could say, that drove it. And then I just followed along.
You were just the better looking one.
Yeah. Have a babysit him.
There you go. So all of a sudden, you've gone from racing Works, racing some GP. You've jumped onto the RPM FMF KTM factory support team. Was that a huge step? Like, that's something I always like to talk to people about, is when they first make the jump to pros. Was that a bit of a mind bender, like in terms of like having support, and your job was to focus primarily on racing now? You didn't have to worry too much about the bike, or as much about the bike maybe?
Yeah, so the first year I was on the RPM team, I was actually still in school, and at that
Oh,
stage, Mum said, "No, school comes first, and then you're racing." So it's quite
Mom,
funny.
come on.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, I still remember the first time we got shipped a heap of free stuff to put in our bikes. It was like, never got free stuff before. It was just from Mum and Dad. So the first big box of gear we got, I think we got like 2 helmets straight off the bat, plus many more along the way. And yeah, everything was just, it was a pretty cool feeling.
Were you just like sleeping in the KTM gear?
Will probably was.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so you start riding, you know, you've done those couple GNCC races in 21 to just get a sense of what it's all about. You know, 2 good races. I mean, you got to race at the Ironman Raceway, so Hoosier, so the smaller, you know, the smaller version of, you know, the Ironman experience, I guess. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Snowshoe must have been pretty off the hook.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was sort of just mind blowing.
Yeah.
I liked Snowshoe as a spectator, but racing it, it's a tough race. So
That's a common theme I've heard from people, like, oh yeah, fun one to go watch. Less so to race. It's always looks like it every year is just stupid muddy and slick with the rocks and
yeah, because it's up on top of that ski resort. But how it's whole is pretty impressive to see. There's a lot of drunk rednecks down there, and quads going left, right, and center, and it's crazy.
Have you ever hit a spectator there?
No. At one of the races, I split some spectators. Like, I got loose up a hill climb, and I've got slid them down the middle. Didn't hit them. They've just gone left and right of me. But nah, I haven't. Never cleaned anyone up.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Hayden Dupuy's mom recently, and she was talking about Snowshoe and how, you know, she wasn't drinking or partying or anything, and that she was on the bus on the way up and people were already coated head to toe in mud, and they were looking at her like, you're doing it wrong, you know, like they're giving her a hard time.
Yeah, 10 a.m. when the morning race goes through, people are already upside down drunk.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, maybe I need to make it down there in a couple of weeks here. That'd be pretty awesome. So yeah, we talked about ISDE and we talked about your career to date. What's been your biggest win or the biggest, let's talk about wins or your biggest result in terms of just maybe personally. It doesn't have to be a win, I guess, but which results meant the most to you to this point?
Make me think now. In the sprint championship last year was I sort of came from had a shocking first half of the season. I sort of came back at the end, and I was racing Cody, and I couldn't let him beat me basically the last 4 rounds. But each round is 2 different. Kinda. Yeah, so I couldn't let him beat me for like 8 days. Tallied up, and some days was like 0.1, and yeah, so that was pretty cool to come back and win that one. And then obviously a few GNCCs, a few of the rounds I've won.
What was the first GNCC win?
Georgia last year was in the mud.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then you've won at Ironman?
Yeah, won Ironman last year.
Yeah, that's right. That happened in between when you came out to see Will in Idaho Falls for Endurocross. Then you must have gone back for Ironman, I think, and then come back and raced Oregon. Or were you done at that point?
Ironman. Yeah, I was done at that point.
Okay.
And then I came out and just helped Will and then raced the next round. I wasn't going to race it, and then we got there that morning, and the class I was in was already in staging, and Will and Tristan talked me into doing it. So I had to run inside. I brought Tristan with me to sweet talk him into letting me sign up because I'd already missed the boat. So they let me, and then ran back. Will got the bike ready. It was just his practice bike.
Yeah.
And then, made it out there for practice and went on and qualified.
I'm just going to share my screen here. This is a picture I got of you guys racing in Oregon.
Yeah, yeah.
And that one was cool, right? Like for me, I was like, you know, how often do you get 2 guys racing completely different series, who race in completely different series or pros on the same team, racing bar to bar in that, you know, I guess a series that's way more important to Will than to you. But yeah, man, like that picture, that was really cool, especially when you got like Tristan in the foreground. You can sort of see Johnny's helmet there. And
yeah. They're probably laughing at me.
No, I don't think they were.
Probably just got the start on them.
Hang on, let me just switch back. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but that was it. Hey, like you came out and I remember seeing you in practice. In Oregon, and you were sending it. I was just like, oh my God, watch out, everybody else. Like,
Was that with I think there was a good whip jump there. So
yeah,
I was trying to impress the boys.
Yeah. Yeah. You threw some sick ones for sure. And I remember, I didn't dig up the picture, but there was one where you came over, you whipped the finish hard in practice still, and you're coming down and there's a couple of whoops into the first corner, first left-hander after the finish. And I think I'm sure it was like you saw me or you saw me as a person with a big camera lens right there. And I forget exactly what you did, but you did something fairly outrageous in the sick department again. And I was like, I was just laughing. I was like, that's so awesome. There's a guy who's got, nothing to lose here, right? Just out for fun and do what you can.
Yeah, literally was if I take that Endurocross serious, I just get too angry. So if I just go out there and have some fun, I ride way better.
Yeah. Is that so mentally? Is that something you kind of have to manage? Like when you're riding, like are you pretty intense on the bike, or you're a pretty chilled out, laid back person in real life? Does that carry over to the bike, or are you kind of like not Jekyll and Hyde, I guess, but a little more intense and a little more hardcore?
This my main series that I'm contracted to do. Try to take it fairly serious, but say about Endurocross rounds I did, I'm just there to have fun. So if I get lost, I don't really care. But if I have a shit round like at a GNCC or a sprint, I'm not happy.
And how do you manage? Like, is that tough for you to manage, or is that something you're kind of like developing the skills with over time?
I guess it comes with experience.
Yeah.
Still don't handle it too well when I lose, but yeah, no, not too bad.
Yeah. Do you feel like you get more pressure coming from inside you or from external?
Bit of both, I could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. More from me, more just me putting pressure on myself.
Yeah.
But, as long as I try and give 100%, at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, you can't control what other people are doing out there, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
And that is a tough lesson to learn, though, that you could have the ride of your life and still come second or third or something, and to be able to take that away.
Yeah, on the week 10, I came from dead last. I was dead last off the start and then crashed third turn, so I was even further back. And I came back to 0.4 off the win.
Yeah.
So it was a good ride. I was fourth overall, but I still wasn't happy after that. So the ride aspect was good, but the result wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's nuts though that you guys were so high. I mean, and you see that obviously in GNCC, like the XC2 guys finishing high up, and Josh this year was the first XC2 to win the overall in a round, which was super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is that when you're up there mixed in with the XC1 guys, is it? I mean, I guess that's the beauty of off-road. There's not a huge performance to the 450s out there.
True, yeah. If I'm 10th overall or first, second, third, or fourth overall, as long as I'm winning my class, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I'm racing the XC2 class. I'm not racing the XC1 class.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what I come as long as I get a good result in my class.
Yeah, GNCC is interesting.
And then the overall is just a bonus.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, GNCC is interesting where you talk to people, to the pros, and some of them are so overall driven and some of them are class focused. And, it's sort of like.
If you're XC1, you have to be overall driven.
Yeah.
Because say if you get third in XC1, but fifth overall, you get your points for fifth overall, not third in class.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge difference, right? So GNCC is your primary contracted series.
Yes. Yeah.
And did that change? I mean, that's always kind of been the way it was with RPM, and then you've made the switch to, or KTM made the switch to factory racing landers. Nothing's kind of changed that way.
No, it's still sort of all the same. I'm still any KTM Husky Gus rider here on the East Coast. GNCC is our main series, and then the second series is either sprint or the national enduros.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because and that's interesting that that's the way it works. And you don't ever like throw in a national enduro just because.
No, I haven't this year, but maybe next year I might give them a crack. Not too
Yeah,
sure
you
yet.
never know. See what goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, things are obviously going well, and so the next natural step that you have to think about is the full factory ride.
Yeah, I'm still in full factory now. It's
Okay,
just,
so it's not factory
yeah,
support. Oh, okay.
no, I'm fully factory now.
Ah,
It's just,
okay.
it's like the TLD team.
Right.
It's just privately owned.
Gotcha. Okay, so
Yeah, so
there's a
my
distinction I didn't
bikes,
have. Yeah.
suspension, everything still comes from in-house in California. Just my team, the
Yeah.
250 team, is based in Tennessee at Landers.
Yeah. So Will can't hold that over you then.
No, we're both full factory.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, I just keep coming back to that. It's just, did your dad ride much, or your parents were into it, or did you guys just get into it on your own?
No, Mum grew up riding horses, so she always thought we were going to be horse riders. And then Dad never grew up, and then where Will and I grew up, we sort of water skied in the summer and then motorbike rode in the winter.
Yeah.
I still joke around with Dad. It was his worst regret in life was buying Will and I a bike because it just snowballed from there.
I mean, yeah, you make the most expensive financial decision of your life to have kids, and then you throw bikes on top of that. Like, come on.
Yeah. Will and I probably haven't spent some money.
Yeah, I mean, your dad's so nice and so chilled out. Like, it's almost amazing that he can be that chill after raising the likes of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as we try, Mum and Dad will be happy. We go
Yeah,
out
that's
there
good.
and piss fight around, they won't be happy. So as long as we give it 100%, it'll be fine.
So if Enduro GP, you go to Enduro GP, you have a good time, it's something you become interested in. Is that something you would consider as maybe a career direction to look at?
Yeah, I've learned to say never say never.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not until I do my first one, I'll know sort of more about it. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I
It
wouldn't rule it out.
yeah, but it's not like a master plan you have kind of in the back of your head.
No. But I might get there and really enjoy it, might do well. And yeah,
Yeah.
this is where I want to go. But not until I do it, I won't know the official answer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty wild over there. Right? It looks like such an amazing series and just such a different experience, right? And you're probably maybe have a little more international experience just from life than a lot of people do maybe in that you're racing against in the States. I mean, obviously some are racing internationally, ISDE every year and other stuff, but you probably have a little bit of a unique perspective about being open to the idea of something like moving to Europe or moving somewhere else in the world to do this.
Yeah, I feel like everyone I'm racing here in the States has been doing GNCC sort of since they're on mini. So I'd sort of if you're an international, that puts you on the back burner for a bit until you learn the terrain. And I know it sort of sounds silly, but that actually takes a fair bit to learn.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny, even like, I mentioned Rachel earlier, and that's one of the things she said to me is like, taking the opportunity to go race Enduro GP. She's spent like, how many times has she been to Ironman to race GNCCs, 2 times a year for like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, or I could do something that's totally different and exciting and be like the first. And,
Yeah. I always
definitely.
like trying out new things.
So obviously you're succeeding you're having a good season. I know like you would say that you want to be first overall right now in GNCC, no question, but it is within reach. I think it's like 13 points difference. I think it's not too far off.
After the last 2 rounds, it's pushed out to about 22.
My bad. Wow.
So
Sorry.
a bit of a dent in it now, but anything can happen.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, that's off-road racing. It's an interesting combination. It's really good, I guess, the sprint enduro and the GNCC piece, because you're building that high intensity, high speed stuff into your program naturally.
Yeah, so it's feel like the sprint's good for your speed, and then GNCC is good for your like duration. And it's a good combination. And in the GNCCs, if you need a sprint to get around someone, it comes a bit more natural for you.
Yeah, if you're looking to surge for a little bit, you can play those games maybe a little better.
Yeah.
So what does a typical in-season training week look for you? I assume that, with the length of the GNCC races, your recovery weeks need to be pretty chill.
Yeah, so every week is obviously different because some weekends we're racing on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And then, say, on a normal week, we'd probably ride 3 times.
Yeah.
2 to 3 times, and then sort of 2 to 3 times on the cycle or gym or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're racing that Sunday.
What's the
so you might ride. So you go.
Oh, no. What does your on bike look like in, like, if you're doing, say, back-to-back GNCC rounds, you're out riding, are you doing motos or are you just putting in more like time?
Yeah, back rounds is probably just a few 20s or a few 30s or something.
Yeah.
And maybe a gym or something after. Honestly, it changes every week.
Yeah. Do you follow like keep going?
Yeah, which is good. It keeps it's not the same thing, so it doesn't get boring. It's always changing.
Yeah, like, is your training structured where it's kind of like 4-week cycles or something like that? Like build, and then recover, build, recover to keep building through the season, or?
We sort of do our main blocks in the preseason.
Yeah.
And then to head down to Florida, Caleb Russell trains me. So very structured, and sort of every lap I do is timed, which is good. So there's no slacking off when you're out on the bike. And then there'll be another bit of a boot camp sort of during the summer break. Those are sort of the big building blocks, and then during the season is you maintain
just like a little bit of high intensity in between to keep it sharp.
Yeah. Maintain and still build yourself up.
Yeah, I mean, rest obviously has to be a huge part of your program. Is that something that's tough to learn as like a younger pro, or?
No, not really. It's after a Monday after a GNCC, you feel like doing nothing. Sometimes even a Tuesday, like today's Tuesday after a GNCC, and it was just a light cycle and cruise around. And yeah, Dad had us boys out there on the tools before, so we're always sort of doing something active.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Did you get up and watch Erzberg with Will, or?
No, that was Sunday race morning. I had to get my
right.
beauty
Yeah,
sleep.
obviously. Question.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Stoked for Tristan then.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, crazy comeback ride, 50th to second there. I mean,
yeah,
that's nuts. I loved his interview where he was describing how he's like, he was getting run over by people, and you can see it in the replay. And he's like, I just had to start punching people to get back to my bike. People were hitting me, so I was punching them. And good times. I mean, the starts, right? Like, insane. And especially, Erzberg at least has, especially in the first part of the race, they got those big long transitions, so he can make time back. But
yeah, and apparently everyone must jump the start. So
yeah,
getting a good start's really important.
Yeah, it was wild watching it. And then I actually messaged Cody Webb later in the day, and I was like, what about that start? He's like, dude, people were leaving like 7 seconds early. Like, yeah, it's nuts. Like, I don't know how you manage that. Like, do they have to put gates in or something, or?
Yeah,
it's wild.
I'd need to do something. It was funny last year when Wood did it. Everyone said to him, everyone jumps the start.
Yeah.
And we're like, they might do it by a second or two. But yeah, like you said, it's a good few seconds before, and
they're gone. Yeah.
They're on their way.
The Euros, they're amazing. Okay, so sort of switching back to training, how do you do with things like nutrition? Are you pretty stuck to a plan, or are you a little more happy-go-lucky with that stuff?
No, I feel like we ate pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And I sort of just eat good home cooked meals, and yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're not weighing anything out or anything like that, or?
Nah, no way.
That's awesome.
I'm a lot more with hydration and stuff like that. I'm a lot more Will and Lyndon, because live in the same house, they're a lot more strict with that sort of stuff. I guess I'm still sort of young and haven't caught up to that stage yet. It'll probably bite me in the ass.
So yeah, I mean, when you look at obviously you're going to have, sort of the near term goals, mid goals, and long range planning, like goals. I'm assuming, like most athletes. How would you set those up? I mean, I'm going to guess that, short term is you want to win GNCC overall.
Yeah, ideally I want to get 2 XC2 titles in a row.
Yeah.
And sort of go from there, but I want to end up back in the desert. That's where I want to finish out, is back in the desert.
And back in the desert in the US or back in the desert in Australia? Because I know you do go back and race.
Probably here in the US.
Yeah.
Just the support is way better.
Yeah.
And it's what makes it easier to go home and get a bike and do like the Hattah Desert Race. Going back and doing it this year.
Yeah.
To leave for 3 weeks in 3 weeks' time for that, which will be fun.
Yeah, you did that last year, right?
Yeah, so I got 4th there last year, so be running the big number 4 on my bike this year.
Nice. So tell me about the Hattah experience. I mean, for people over here who don't know anything about it, it's insane, obviously, but
yeah, it's my favorite race of the year. And where it is where I was born. So I still call it the home race.
Yeah.
And so it's a 4-hour sand race pretty much. You can in sand whoops, and then you get to some big long straightaways, and you probably reaching up to 100 mile an hour, 160k, and then back into some tight stuff, and then wide open again. So it's an 8-lap race, and they're at 30 minutes a lap time.
Crazy.
I think last year I was, there might be around a 35-minute lap time. I think my total time last year was 4 hours 30 or something. And yeah, so it's a long race.
What's your favorite story from the race last year?
I actually hit a kangaroo on lap 1. It bounced up and basically into my lap. And I was actually very lucky because if you hit one of them at high speed, you sort of aren't getting back up. So
yeah, it's like hitting a moose up here, like big muscle-bound animal.
Yeah, lucky it was a smaller one, mid-size.
Yeah.
Some luck must have been on my side because I sort of hip and shouldered and bounced off, and I looked at the guy right beside me who I was battling with, and I just see his eyes light up, and he couldn't believe it. I think I had a nugget in my pants after that. But
yeah, no doubt. Not just a nugget, man. That was probably like a full drop. Yeah, you didn't damage the bike, didn't damage you. You stayed up, like, because how fast were you going, do you figure, when you did that?
I was probably 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe fast. 50. I was going around a turn.
Oh,
yeah, it's fast enough.
Yeah.
And lucky I got it on the bounce, because if I had got it when it was down low, it would have hit my front wheel.
Yeah.
And probably collarbones would have been gone for sure.
Yeah, that's no joke, coming off the bike at that speed for sure.
Yeah, so lucky I got it on the bounce, and it sort of bounced off me as well.
Have you raced the Fink before?
No, I haven't done the Fink. It's not really on the agenda at this current moment in my life. But yeah, maybe one day.
Yeah, it was funny. I met at King of the Motos this year. I met this group of Aussies that come over. They were car guys or truck guys, whatever. And they were giving me a hard time that I was only there for the bikes. They're like, you're here for the full 3 weeks. I was like, no, I leave tomorrow, man. And they were like, we were talking, and they were like, oh yeah, the Fink. No, you don't want the Fink. There's better races that you want to go to in Australia. So
yeah, it's pretty impressive. The Fink and Hattah are the 2 big desert races in Australia. Yeah.
They were saying Hattah is the way to go. So
yeah, if you're a motorbike rider, Hattah is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all over that. Fink's wild. I watch all the replays and stuff every year. I'm kind of obsessed, and it'll be fun to see. Toby Price just won Baja 500 in the truck, and is he gonna double it again, truck and bike this year, or now that he's not on KTM, do you think he's just gonna focus truck?
I don't think he's doing Fink this year.
No,
no, I don't think so. No, I think his whole efforts into Baja.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And obviously paid off.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. It was a good run.
The thing with Fink is Hattah, you can sort of come in a week before and you're fine. But if you want to come in a week before Fink and have a red hot crack at it, it's probably the stupidest thing you could ever do. You sort of want to be there. The guy that has been winning the last few years, David Walsh, he lives up there.
It just runs it and runs it.
Callum Norton, the mate of ours, he's sort of up there basically every second week, all the way from January. So he basically lives up there for the first half of the year.
That's nuts. Yeah, because you hear about the Fink and it's like, you know, person deep whoops and holes all down the course the whole way.
Yeah, so you've literally got to learn every bump and then learn it backwards as well. And so to do that in a week is
impossible. Well, it's like showing up to race Baja full out without pre-running, right? Like, you know, even a week there would not do it.
You can do it, but you aren't gonna. You're just gonna be cruising and sort of when I want to enter a race, I sort of want to do it properly.
So when you talk about desert
Endurocross,
there you go. And even then, so when you talk about desert racing, is something like Baja on the agenda then, or?
I think it'd obviously be cool one day to do it. Yeah, hopefully. But that's still a few years down the track.
Yeah, you gotta
focus on GNCC for now.
Yeah, for sure. And then what? Like I always say, like, hey, rally. You know,
I love the rally stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of last year, good friends with Daniel Sanders, Chucky, and he was out testing, and I was in LA for the photo shoot.
Yeah.
For this year.
Oh, and he was up in Nevada, or?
Yeah, he was just out the back of LA.
Yeah.
And texted him, and I said, because I had a feeling he was coming to the States. So I just texted him and said, when are you getting to the States? And he just arrived. And so I went and sort of picked him up, and we drove up there, and I spent, I think, 2 days with him just cruising around, and I was just out there, wasn't riding or anything. But it was sick.
Yeah, rally is, I mean, for me, I love it. I'm fascinated by it. Like going to Dakar is a bucket list, or any of the world rounds, obviously. But, you know, I don't think you could be trying to pursue media in this business without, you know, in the off-road world without wanting to go to Dakar.
Yeah, no, Dakar is pretty impressive.
I was asking all the guys at King of the Motos because of the navigation component. I was like, so, you know, navigation skills out of 10, everyone's like, 5, 6, 7. You know, no one wanted to say they were really good at it. I think Will was like, I have none.
It was hopeless. Whenever we travel together, I'm on the GPS. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's funny, but and that's the next question I'd say. So, like, you know, Dakar 5 years from now, and they would just all laugh and be like, I'm gonna have to gain like 50 pounds, and like that stuff's vicious. Yeah, so no, I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in Argentina right now. So that stuff's also exciting. Those guys, I mean, just like any off-road racers, certainly the high speed stuff, like they have some pretty gruesome like motocrossy injuries in that sport.
Yeah. If you come off the mat, it's not pretty.
Yeah. I mean, going that fast for that long and like those crazy days, like how you stay focused, I don't know. I got ADHD. I couldn't do it. I don't think, like, you know, maybe I'd have a hyper focus day where I'd be like, all right, I'm on it. But the rest of the time I'd be like, oh, look, a kangaroo. Hey,
gotta take a few Red Bulls, get landed.
Yeah, that's right. And then just end up shaking on the side of the track. Like, so when it comes to racing, speaking of like, you know, red focusing in and stuff, like, do you find you have to like amp yourself up? Or are you looking to more bring yourself down before a race, calm down, or?
No, sort of just, some people listen to music, and I sort of just don't listen to anything. I sort of just get geared up, make sure the bike's all good to go, and get up the start and get in the zone. Yeah,
in my mountain bike racing days, like and cross-country ski racing days, I totally screwed up for years. I thought I needed to get pumped up. So I'd be listening to like Rage Against the Machine and just, you know, like, and then I would just shit the bed regularly. And, you know, just be like discombobulated all the time. And I finally, you know, had one race where I just sort of calmed down and put on some like really chill, like Mazzy Star or something. I was like, I'm just going to like relax, and had the best race of my life. I was like, well, you know, I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah,
you just feel like the less expectation pressure you put on yourself, sort of the better you would do.
Yeah, I mean, some people are different, right? But for me, it was definitely like I had to focus on taking pressure away. But I mean, not that I was good enough that I should have cared at all. But you know, you get racing's racing, right? Doesn't matter where you are. Yeah. So the rest of the season, so you got snowshoe coming up, and then you're on the break, and you said you got a training camp in there, a boot camp in the middle of the break.
Yeah, so I've got another sprint and then snowshoe and then the summer break. So the Monday after snowshoe, I fly home to Australia.
For Hattah, yeah.
For Hattah. And then I think Hattah's 2 weekends after snowshoe. So I go from slow technical riding on a ski resort to 160 kilometres an hour down at Sandy Strait.
Punching kangaroos, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll be there for another week, sort of 2 weeks after that. And then I'll go home in that time.
Yep.
And then come back over here, get into training, and then go to Europe for the GP, and then come back, a bit more training, and then back into the season here.
Yowza. That's a lot of travel.
Busy schedule.
Yeah. You're like Tristan last year a little bit.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, though.
No, that'll be good. So when you go home to race, do you get the gears from your old buddies and from the racing community about racing GNCC over here? Or do they give you like a hard time? Or
no, they're always super interested how we going, and they was always asking about it, saying they need to come over and watch and whatnot. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, well, GNCC this year in Australia has been kind of like has been off to a rocky start. I think there was only going to be 3 rounds, but the first one got canceled or postponed, and then the next one got postponed.
Yeah, unfortunately, which is buggered. Just having a motorbike race at home is obviously pretty hard, just with cancel and everything, getting permits, and it's a bit greener on that side of things.
Well, that's it. I mean, the US is, and even out here to a degree, like if you're on private land, you're pretty good, and there's a lot of landowners out here, like for the Canadian Sprint Series. It's here in Alberta. It's pretty excellent. They don't have to worry too much. I think the round Tristan was at a few weeks ago, they couldn't do stream crossings because of the fishery guys would get upset. But other than that, it was like, let's go.
Yeah. Everywhere you ride in Australia is always on private land.
Yeah.
It's just getting permits and insurance and everything, which is the hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've organized some races in my day, and like, it's not worth it. Made a little bit of money promoting that. And I was like, no, good on the big series organizers, and even more so the grassroots people, because the hoops you got to jump through and the stress you got to deal with is just, it's really not worth it.
Yes. Yeah. But on to them for giving it a crack.
Yeah. I mean, is it hard to keep going?
I did the GNCC round in Australia last year.
Yeah.
I think that was the most fun I had on live dirt bike all year. It was sick.
Where was it?
It was in South Australia, so about 5-6 hours from where I live in Australia.
Yeah.
And it was another sand race, and it was on a sick property, and it was awesome.
Have you ever thought about going up to Quebec to try an FMSQ round?
Never heard of it.
Oh, well, there you go. Have you ever met Phil Cheney, who comes down once in a while, KTM Canada? Races early season GNCCs. Anyway, no, FMSQ is sort of like, it's the easiest way to describe it is GNCC of Canada. So it runs just like a GNCC, quads and micro bikes on Saturday, e-bikes on Saturday, and then the bikes go same, 8:30, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock starts. And yeah, they do well. They get anywhere from 700 to 800 to maybe an average round. And then for the big rounds, they'll get 1,000 to 1,200 people. And highly competitive. So Phil Cheney, he's a longtime Canadian ISDE World Trophy rider. He's not going this year, but Alex Goujon is one of the main Canadian Trophy Team guys this year. He won the series last year and won the first round this year. And everything from round 1, deep sand, and then you're in woods, and they got a little bit of everything, and they get some pretty decent prize money, but in Canadian dollars, so less appealing.
Yeah.
But that would be a cool experience to go up to and race in Quebec, because they get into it, man.
Yeah. Now I need to go up there. If I wasn't going to do Hattah this year, I was going to head up to Canada for a bit of it. That was what I was saying at the start of the year, so who knows?
Yeah. No, that's all good.
No, I need to get up there. Never been to Canada, so...
Well, get on it, man. It's pretty good up here. We've got some great racing. Yeah, that FMSQ series in the East, the Corridor Enduro, which is sort of like the National Enduro Championship. It's a multi-day enduro race in Ontario, not too far from Toronto. And then out here, we've got an amazing sprint series. You can ask, Tristan came and it was amazing. He cleaned it out. But that guy can just ride. But guys like Tyler Medaglia, he got third in 250, I think, in the first or second GNCC this year. I forget which one, Wild Boar maybe?
Yeah, Wild Boar, round 2.
Yeah, so he's one of our ISDE trophy team riders. He's probably the fastest guy. Yeah, so he's contracted with Honda Motocross here in Canada. So I was just at the race on Sunday. It was round one of our national Triple Crown series, and lap one he got tangled up. Just some pretty slick. It had rained really hard just before the 250s went for their first moto, and then they watered the track. It was slick, and he went down, and unfortunately his fast kid out of the US just had nowhere to go, ran over his head, and like his helmet split, and he's got a concussion. So hoping he's okay. Not sure if he's going to be able to race the next round here next weekend in Southern Alberta, but yeah, I mean, there's great races all over this country. And I mean, it was funny last year seeing Will roll up to the the local fall series here in Calgary at the track with Tristan. I was there covering it, and I was like, "What is he doing here?" You know?
Yeah.
He was laughing.
Gypsy here, there, and everywhere.
I was like, "Dude, I'm telling everyone, take out the Australian. You can't trust him. Can't trust the Australians. You got to take them out in the start." It's like, shut the fuck up. Stop saying that. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and I harp on this all the time, and like it's racing like the sprints, like for you, the US Sprinting Series, your brother doing some motocross riding, whatever it is, like getting that speed work in, that is like ultimately the foundation of everything, being able to go really fast, whether it's Endurocross in the transitions in the lanes, or GNCC being able to wind it up and push and try to separate yourself or regain someone. I think it is such a fundamental thing.
Yeah, motocross is super important with all type of riding. I think even if you don't race it, it's still very good to train on. You get that intensity.
And also, the features are, if you're flying stuff on a motocross track, there's not too much on a GNCC track that should freak you out.
Yeah, see logs and roots.
Yeah, the odd giant mud bog. That was actually pretty wild at Hoosier this year. Like, when I made my way for the last maybe 2 or 3 laps to that big mud bog in the back where people were getting bogged down and rerouting, and it was nuts.
Oh yeah.
That was bananas. Like right up to the gas tanks, Yeah. That was amazing to watch guys in there. Like, that was decisive in the women's race too. So
it's crazy now it gets.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much it rains on a GNCC weekend. It seems like it's just impossible to have a bone dry GNCC.
Yeah, it's a pain. I wish they were all dry.
Yeah. Well, desert racing. So you got to come out and race in Alberta, man. Like, it's bone dry, like bone dry dirt, silty, dusty insanity. You'd love the sprints out here.
So calling my name.
Yeah. We got to get it. Got to get you up here. Find a way. Who knows? Maybe next year, if, you come up this way with Will during the break instead of going to Hattah. But I mean, Hattah's awesome. I'd go there probably before I'd go to Alberta. So
yeah, we'll see how this year goes.
That's right. I'm just trying to think what else. We covered training, nutrition a little bit. Talked a little bit like what a week looks like. I mean, has it been much of a difference switching from the RPM to the Landers program, or is it same thing, different name, or?
There are a few different things. When I was on the RPM team, I still had to take my bike and everything to the track.
Yeah.
Where this year I just show up with my gear. I've sort of got an e-bike there provided for me, and on a Sacre bike, and just everything's way better.
Yeah. I mean, is that weird though? Like, when all of a sudden you're not wrenching and you're just like I can just focus purely on being the best racer I can be.
Yeah, it's real nice. When I was on RPM, my mechanic worked out of the shed here at the house. Okay. So, and then I'll just take the bike and whatnot. So I still didn't need to worry about wrenching then.
Yeah.
But now it's sort of, everything's done in a professional shop, you could say. And it's a lot more less stressful, if you could say that.
Yeah. But was it weird?
After a race weekend, I just got to clean my boots.
Yeah, right? Hose them off and throw your gear in the laundry. You just get new gear for the next round, and away you go.
Yeah.
You're living that pimpin' lifestyle, man. You're a big pappy out there. So if you were gonna talk to kids, Yeah, that was one of the things that blew me away at GNCC is how big the youth fields are. And there are some fast kids coming up. Obviously competition to get a ride is always going to be hard. What's some of the advice you would give to a young rider who is looking to, maybe follow the pro career in off-road racing?
It's going to sound simple, but like, don't give up. I know everyone says that, but even I've experienced that. I think my first year here, I was enjoying it, but I was like, oh, was this the wrong call? But no, I stuck with it, and everything sort of happens for a reason, I think so.
Yeah. Were you good at?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it'll be all good.
Yeah. Were you good when you were coming up about, like the little things like, the clean bike, clean kit, like kind of looking like you knew how to play that game? Or
whenabouts?
Just when you were sort of coming up, like maybe when you came to the States and you were starting to get those sniffs from, the teams and stuff like that. Did you guys present a professional image?
Tried to. Yeah, tried to always be slaying it, rock up the same bike, fresh tread and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd always sort of just not really care what I wore, but Will was always the one who's always trying to get the League Kit award.
Yeah. He's the diva.
Yeah. He always made the pits look nasty clean.
That's awesome. A question I asked Will that I'll ask you, and maybe I gave you the heads up in Indiana. I don't know if you remember or not, but you're Australian, so ACDC or INXS?
ACDC.
Yeah. Do you know who INXS is?
Nope. That's what I said, ACDC.
I was joking with your dad about that too. He was like, come on, these kids. All right. Yeah, that's two for ACDC. Yeah, well.
I hardly know who ACDC is either.
That's awesome. What are you doing for fun off the track and off the bike these days?
No, just sort of cruising around out at the property, anything up, getting tracks ready to ride. And I've actually been looking at a jet ski the last few days.
Oh.
I'm about to buy one, I reckon. There's a lake close by. Go stir some trouble up on there.
Perfect. I mean, there you go. Like you were saying, when you grew up, it was sort of water skiing and then bikes. I mean, you guys live in North Carolina, I think?
Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the land of water skiing and bikes.
Yeah, so coming into summer will be nice.
Yeah. How far from the coast are you?
4.5, 5 hours from the coast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where do you live?
Good a little bit, but
what's the sort of big center near you, or where you're in?
We're just near north of Charlotte.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's a big lake near us, Lake Norman. Yeah, it's about 10, 15 minutes from us.
Perfect. Yeah, jet ski will go down well.
Down there.
Yeah. Is Will going to get one?
He's too tight.
That's funny.
He just used mine and broke mine, and
yeah. And then look at you like, here.
Yeah, he's already telling me I need to buy 2 of them. There's no point getting one.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, yeah, you buy one.
Yeah, exactly. You're not skint. That's cool, man. So, like so how does it work for Hattah? Have you got a bike over there? Are you shipping a bike or?
No, through parents actually own a dealership back there, Mototech. So through them, I'm sort of getting a demo bike.
Yeah.
And the KTM rep sort of helping me out. But yeah, so get a demo bike for them, and then I'll just take a few parts from back here and get the guy over there to do my suspension, and so take sticky kit, pipe, then a few other parts and triple clamps and whatnot to get it as close to factory looking as I can.
Nice. So, but you're
motor or
you're gonna build. You're not gonna take your suspension with you. I mean, it's so different racing desert than GNCC, I guess. So.
Yeah, I've heard good set of playing goals over there already in Australia.
Perfect.
Just from previous years racing it.
Yeah.
So I've sort of got my own little Hattah supply with steering down there and everything. So
just waiting for you. Yeah.
Yeah, each year. So each time I go home, I take a few things over.
Yeah.
Then, so I think I'm in new gear this year, so I need to take new gear and helmet and then just a few parts, but everything else should be there.
How many people show up at Hattah's, like in terms of fans? Thousands.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't actually know the numbers. Probably not as big as Ironman or any of that, but yeah, it's pretty big.
Like on par probably with like a normal GNCC.
Probably, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Probably a good sized GNCC.
Yeah, right on.
But it's spread over 3 days. So Friday you've got your sign on and scrutineering, and there's a show and shine in town.
Yeah.
So all your bikes are on display, and then Saturday is the juniors, so 16 and under.
Yeah.
But we do our prologue on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then Sunday is our main race.
And the main race is Hattah that's got the start where it's like that rolling start, like it's just the cart goes and you just start from behind it. Yeah, that's wild to watch.
Yeah.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, so it's not a big like GNCC or Moto start where there's 40 or 50 or however many. Yeah, quad goes by. And so if you get a shit prologue, you're way back. The leaders have already got on that.
Yeah.
Indeed. Good head start on you.
You're going to go through a bunch of sets of goggles on your way to the front.
Yeah. So last year I had a shocking prologue and I think I got 17th and I was not happy about that. And I think I passed 10 or 11 people lap one, but I learned because you can't run tear-offs in Australia. It's running roll-offs. And I looked behind down one of the fast straightaways. I was probably doing 120 kilometers an hour or something. Yeah. And I've looked to the right, and because that's the way your rolls go.
Yeah,
and
you had the big streamer.
All my rolls out, yeah. So I've had to quickly wind them all back in. And then by the time I've done that, Dad's got up in behind it.
Yeah.
I basically had to chuck the goggles. But yeah.
Right
doing 100k an hour with no goggles isn't fun.
Yeah, so with a better prologue, you think you're going to be on the podium this year?
Hopefully. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But with the prologue, if you get top 20 from the previous year, you're the first 20 to go out in the prologue. Okay. So you've got a smooth track and everything.
Yeah.
But where if you didn't do it, got a bad result or first time doing it, you start like way back. So yeah, having a prologue is definitely an advantage. Damn it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, super excited to watch the recaps of that. And I don't know if they do a live stream on YouTube or anything, but
yeah, I think they do a live stream on YouTube.
Well, I'll be the idiot that's up in the middle of the night watching that.
Yeah, I was about to say it's probably at midnight or something.
Yeah. It's worth it. Cool things are worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right on, man. Well, look, it was awesome talking to you, man. It was really good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it's good to learn a little bit about, I think people up here who listen, it's good for them to learn more about GNCC. I think most people are aware of it and they know that it's sick and it's big and it's like, that's what I knew and I was excited about it and I watched like live streams, but you just don't get the sense of it until you're there. Like it's such an event.
Being there and experiencing it is, watching it like on TV is one thing, but being there is a whole new level.
Yeah. One thing I didn't ask you is, what's an embarrassing story about your brother you can tell? I mean, there's probably a bunch, but if you could pick one highlight.
Well, I'm on the spot now. There's got to be one. There's probably some stupid shit he's done. What? I'm trying to think of his latest one. I can't even think.
That's all right.
Oh, he's put unleaded in his diesel van a few times. Or once. That was a funny one. But yeah, so I'm the other one to sort of normally remind him about that one.
Yeah. Very good. That's solid. I like that. I'll have to ask him about that. Give him a hard time about it. But,
yeah.
Cool.
There's probably 1,000 more, but I just can't think of them right now.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like we'll get off and you'll be like,
yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, look, like I said, really good to talk to you. Excited to get another guest from the Commonwealth on, as always.
Perfect.
Yeah, and definitely be keeping an eye on and looking for that ISDE announcement. And my fingers are crossed you're going to be on the team, and we'll get to see you in Spain as well. And hopefully that Enduro GP Wales works out, and away we go.
Yeah. Cheers for having me. First podcast. Hopefully I didn't do too shit.
Well, holy shit. Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. No, you didn't do shit at all. Yeah, I mean, your brother.
Yeah. As long as I did better than him. Happy days.
Well, you know what? I'll let you know the stats. He did okay. But, I think, you also get the advantage of going later. We've got some more listeners, so you're probably going to wipe the floor with them. Are you dating or are you like in a relationship or anything like that?
No, single as you can get.
That's what I meant to ask you. Like, do you get the moto racing into your Tinder profile or?
Yeah, it doesn't work, though.
Oh well,
Nah.
that's life. Well, you can put that in.
Got it, but never use it. So
yeah, you can say that you've been on a podcast before, because that'll tip the scales. Yeah. All right. Well, look, have a good rest of your day. Get rested, and good luck next weekend at the sprints, and then obviously snowshoe. Maybe see you there, maybe not, and then
hopefully
safe travels to Australia, man. Really excited to see how you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Speak to you soon.
You bet. Take it easy.
Gotcha.